Chromosomes. Little strands of nucleic acids and proteins are the fundamental genetic instructions that tell us who we are at birth. Most people are born with 46 chromosomes, but each year in the United States, about 6,000 people are born with an extra chromosome, making them a person with Down syndrome. If you've ever encountered someone with Down syndrome, you know that they are some of the kindest, most joyful people you will ever meet. They truly have something extra. My name is Lisa Nichols, and I have spent the last 24 years as both the CEO of Technology Partners and as the mother to Allie. Allie has something extra in every sense of the word. I have been blessed to be by her side as she impacts everyone she meets. Through these two important roles as CEO and mother to Allie, I have witnessed countless life lessons that have fundamentally changed the way I look at the world. While you may not have an extra chromosome, every leader has something extra that defines who you are. Join me as I explore the something extra in leaders from all walks of life and discover how that difference in each of them has made a difference in their companies, their families, their communities, and in themselves. I'm excited to have Mindi Cox on the show today. Mindi is the Chief Marketing and People Officer at OC Tanner. If you like this episode today, please go to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen and leave us a 5-star rating. Well, Mindi, I have been looking so forward to this time with you. Thank you so much for making the time to be on the Something Extra podcast today.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You know, aren't you so grateful for technology? Because you're sitting in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I'm sitting in St. Louis, Missouri. And it's just amazing, isn't it, that we can do this virtually? And I'm so grateful for that. But you and I were connected fairly recently by Darren Tully, who was also a guest on the Something Extra podcast. And when Darren and I were talking, he was like, Lisa, he goes, you have got to meet Mindi Cox. He goes, you are going to love her. You are going to absolutely love her. She leads with love, and you guys are going to hit it off. And I'm so grateful, Mindi, that he made the connection. And I cannot wait. You know, we have a son that's living in Salt Lake now, and I can't wait to come out, visit him, and then visit you as well and have lunch or something. So it'll be fun. But I'm grateful for Darren connecting us.
Yeah, he's a great force for good. And I love those kind of connections when they just find two people that are trying to fulfill similar purposes in the world and make that connection. It does create some awesome energy. And, you know, that momentum is real.
It really is. And then we can learn so much from one another and encourage one another. But, you know, I don't really know too much about this because you and I didn't talk about it. But how did you grow up? Did you grow up in Utah?
I did. I'm homegrown, so have not wandered far, traveled a lot of places, but always came home. So yes, just grew up right in a suburb of Salt Lake City and did my education here as well. And have always just called Salt Lake home and still just marvel at the beauty of this valley. And it's become quite an international hub. As you know, it's well known for our recreational activities, our outdoor recreational activities, but it's also been a fun business community to be part of because we have what a lot of people would call Silicon Slope. So just south of Salt Lake City, we have a lot of tech startups that have been quite successful. So it's just kind of changed the vibe of business in Salt Lake City over the years. And it's just fun to have that influx of energy and passion and different momentum. So even though you stay in the same place, sometimes it's not always the same place.
That's true, which is a good thing, right? You know, it's evolved. So that's good. But yeah, I tell you, we were shocked actually when we've gone out to visit with Jordan. I think there's 5 national parks that are headquartered there. So it's great snowboarding, great mountain climbing. Just if you're an outdoor enthusiast, it's a great place to be. But to your point, Mindi, I was shocked at how many companies. I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't know that company was there. I mean, it was just like everywhere we were driving, it's like, wow, these guys are there. I mean, it was really surprising to me, but that's really cool. Yeah, great place. Listeners, if you haven't visited Utah, please go, you know, and again, Zion is there, Bryce Canyon. There's a lot of great outdoor things that you can do. But, you said you went to school in Utah. So you got your MBA from the University of Utah. But I think you started your career, Mindi, around 1998 at OC Tanner. You've held so many roles there. So many roles. I was counting up how many things that you have done there. Mostly, though, dealing with communications, culture, and the people side of the business. And you and I were talking offline. I said, Mindi, you have got such a big role because now you are not only the CMO, but you're the chief people officer, which is a huge role. And what did you tell me? You said just one meeting at a time or something like that.
One meeting at a time, one day at a time. Yeah. So it's such a fun opportunity when you find a company you believe in, a purpose you believe in, people you love to work with, and really decide. I guess for me, it was sort of, what do I want to contribute? How can I continue to add value? And just be given opportunity after opportunity in a place that you can be yourself. So it's just been a gift for me to spend these decades with this company that is also changing. I mean, we are a 95-year-old organization, employee recognition industry. We've gone from purely a manufacturing organization to now a software company. So that shift has been fun and challenging, and so much education goes into, not only marketing, but leading people and hiring in that space and just evolving the business needs as we make that shift. And I love the diversity of the people that we get to work with every day, and just it's such a unique opportunity to be in one company now where you really get to see end to end. Our sales team goes out into the world and makes promises, and we bring those in-house and have software platforms and also award craftspeople that deliver on that. And it's fun to walk down the hall and see a press on one side of the hall and a team of engineers on the other. And it's just a unique environment. So yeah, just lots of opportunities to grow. And you'll find a lot of people with a lot of varied long careers here, just because I feel like the thing that keeps you in a place is whether you feel like you're growing or not. And that has certainly just been my story, is just, hey, want to grow over here, want to grow over there, raising my hand, having people, say, sure, come play and learn this. And let's figure out if this is where you want to be and what you love.
Yeah, what a blessing. What a blessing. And we've got so much to talk about there, because I do know it's got an incredibly unique culture, and I want to talk more about that. But, I was thinking about this, and, really with all these different roles though, Mindi, your goal really hasn't changed. Your goal hasn't changed, because you said your goal is to help cultivate workplace cultures where individuals feel connected to a greater purpose and understand the impact of their work. And that has really been your common thread through all the different roles, right? And to your point, I love what you said. There is a CDIO here in St. Louis that I adore. Her name's Bhavani Amirthalingam. And she has just been on this career trajectory that is just phenomenal. It's been phenomenal to watch. But I'll never forget her, Mindi, one time telling me, she goes, I've never worked on building my resume. She said, every place I've been at, and she's been at several places, unlike you. I mean, she has gone to several places, but she said, every place I've ever gone, I'm just like, how can I bring value? And she said, if you ask yourself that question, the rest of it will take care of itself. And I have never forgotten that. And so I know that that's your goal as well. I want to just tell our listeners real quick a little bit more about Mindi, and not to embarrass her, but I want to tell you guys just how phenomenal this woman is. She's been honored with so many different awards. She got Human Resource Executive of the Year by the Stevie Awards for Great Employers. She has been Human Resource Executive of the Year by Utah Business Magazine. And she was recently named among the 30 women to watch in Utah. She is a member of the Forbes Business Resource Council. So this woman, she's done a lot. Not to embarrass you, Mindi, but obviously you've received a lot of accolades, but what do you believe? Like, what are you most proud of in your profession? And I know you've got 3 boys, so personally, I'm sure that those are your treasures. But, what are you most proud of, Mindi, throughout your professional career?
Oh, that is a good question. I do think your friend's observation is absolutely right. There's a great quote that says, many know what they want to get, but few know what they want to give. And I do think if you start from a position of what can I do, what can I give, what value can I bring, get so many people that will say to me, you know what, I got to get a 3-year plan or a 5-year plan. By the time I'm this age, I'm going to be at this level. And I'm looking at them like, it just does, the universe just does not work like that. Like, that's so setting your expectations up for disappointment, really. Because show up, be your best self in this space, add your unique value. And I think that's the hardest question any of us have to answer, is what is that unique value? I always used to feel very self-conscious because it was, when I was coming up in it through my college career, it was find your passion. What are you passionate about? And I thought, I'm passionate about whatever somebody next to me is talking about. Like, I don't know. I get lit up by, they're talking about science. They're talking about art. They're talking about literature. Like, what? I don't know. Everything lights me up. And so I finally figured out that one of my strengths is curiosity. And I think that that's okay. It's not something super specific, but I'll tell you, I can ask a question after a question after a question, and to not have the fear of, oh my gosh, somebody's going to think I don't know enough, or, I feel self-conscious about not being an expert in this space. I think that has been one of the things that has opened more doors for me, is just asking really what I would think are pretty obvious questions. And I'm always, hey, I'm new. Can you help me understand this, or help me understand that? And sometimes it's these simple questions that are the most profound, right? Where some team is so far down the track on a project and we're still not answering the question, why are we doing this? What problem are we trying to solve? What is it that our goal is? What does success look like? Like, all of those really super basic questions are the checklist of things I'm like, do I know this about what I'm working on? And if I don't, I need to ask, and they need to be answered, or I'm not spending my time in a good way. So that has just been the trajectory of my career, is being curious about something, asking lots of questions, maybe asking a very simple question that sort of changed course, and people inviting me in to be part of that project or team or opportunity. And I think that the more organic careers that I speak to people, that's just how careers grow, right? If you would have told me I would have been doing this in college, I mean, my goodness, I would have laughed.
Yeah. Well, gosh, Mindy, Darren's so right. He's like, you're going to love her. I'm like, oh, well, you're just so speaking my language. I mean, there's so much coursing through my mind right now. But the questions, I never forget Maxine Clark. Maxine Clark is the founder of Build-A-Bear. You probably bought a few of those when your boys were growing up,
Parties at the Build-A-Bear, yes.
Build-A-Bear is awesome. And I'll never forget her saying, that is something extra every leader needs, is curiosity. Because we don't know everything. We can't. Newsflash, I'm just going to put it out there. I don't know much. I really don't. But I'm like you. I want to learn. And I find people's stories and just talking to people and asking them questions. Now, what does that look like on a day-to-day basis for you? If I don't understand, I mean, it's okay to ask those questions. In fact, I wish I could remember this quote, but it's not always the answers. In fact, Google says, it's not the answers that we give that's the secret sauce. It's the questions. And so questions are so important in being able to, even as a leader, as you're interacting with your team, asking them what lights you up, what is less than ideal here? What could make this better? Now, why do we do it this way? Is there a better way? I mean, just getting in the habit of asking those questions, I think it's so rich.
Well, and asking a question that you're not holding a right answer to, like asking a genuine question that people can sense that. Do I have permission to answer this in the way I want to answer this? And I think that's trust, right? That is trust in every relationship, is I'm not guessing at your answer. You really want my answer. And so I think I always tell my teams, I'm like, why are we banging our head on the wall? Our people have the answer to every question we're trying to solve. We are not asking them the right questions, or we're not going to where they're in a space where we can observe the answer. So anytime that you're stuck, I think it's just you're not involving the people that have the answers, because they exist in your business for anything that you're trying to solve.
Right. No, that is so good. Here's the other good news, Mindy, because our listeners could be sitting out there and saying, well, I don't know what questions to ask. Listen, this is something you can grow in. This is a growth mindset thing. This is not a static. This is something, an area that you can grow and you can get better at. So, that's the good news.
I will offer this too. One of my go-to questions is, what am I not asking you? What do you wish I would ask you? Like, if there's something that you want to volunteer, but you're waiting for me to ask it in the right way, please just volunteer it. So if you were me, what question would you be asking? And sometimes they're like, oh, well, this is actually what's going on. Or that just kind of opens something up to, it's not this asked and answered scenario. It is, she's really curious about getting to the solution.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, let's talk a little bit, and I've got so much more. I want to talk more like culture. I want to talk about all sorts of things. But, for our listeners that don't know OC Tanner, which that is remarkable to me. You guys are getting close to your 100th anniversary. I'm sure you're already starting to think about that, Mindy, and what kind of fun things we can do, 100 days of reflection, or I don't know what you're going to do there. But the company was founded in 1927 by Obert C. Tanner. And you already said this, you kind of started out manufacturing. You started out, I think, by selling class rings and pins.
Seminary pins. So Obert was a philosopher and he was a teacher. And when his students would graduate, he thought, this piece of paper doesn't seem like enough to sort of commemorate their achievement. So he worked for a jeweler, just apprenticed for a jeweler during college. And so he thought, I'm going to make him a pin. And he really pioneered the employee recognition industry just based on that hunch that if this really motivated and was meaningful to his students, it would probably be motivating and meaningful for employees.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I love that. Well, I read you guys created the medal for the 2022 Winter Olympics. How cool is that?
Yeah, we've had a long history with the Olympics. We do the U.S. rings. Not every athlete that goes to the games has spent their lifetime preparing for that moment, and there's only a few that go home with a medal. So creating the medals was an amazing experience. We actually did it for the games that were in Salt Lake in 2002, and we hope that the games are going to be coming back within the next decade, and we'd love the opportunity to do that again. But every Olympics, we create a ring, a commemorative ring for the Team USA athletes, so that they will have something that just commemorates their level of achievement of just being an Olympic athlete. My goodness. And the staff that surrounds them, who will never earn a medal, but who spend so much time and invest so much love and energy into these athletes. So it's been a fun experience for us to just be able to donate those rings as part of our philanthropy and our commitment to just elevating recognition in the world and providing symbols that really are meaningful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, there's so much more to talk about there, but I'm going to leave it with this. In 2014, you guys had a major shift, and you've already alluded to it. You don't describe yourself as a manufacturing company anymore. It is really a technology company. And that's what I want to talk about, Mindy, when we come back after our break. But right now we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back with Mindi Cox on the Something Extra podcast.
In business, the tendency is to seek out partners who are bigger, faster, stronger. When it comes to IT, you should be looking for smarter, faster, better. That's just what you'll find with the talented technologists at Technology Partners. Our experts develop custom solutions to tackle your most complex challenges, all to simplify your processes in the smartest, most efficient way possible. The time to be swift and nimble starts now. Go to technologypartners.net/solutions and see what's possible.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Something Extra podcast with Mindi Cox. So, Mindy, before our break, we talked about in 2014, you guys really had a shift, and you went from manufacturing to technology, and you've got a software platform, I think, that is really a differentiator for you. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about that?
Sure. Culture Cloud is our suite of products and services that really help our clients elevate their cultures, create some strategic alignment to goals within an organization, and then also just keep employees motivated. There's nothing like appreciation that really helps people have that positive feedback that what they're doing matters, they're seen, they matter, and they're being celebrated. And that can really feed into a lot of momentum in a workplace and align employees to really what matters most in the organization. So I wish it was just 1 year that that turned us from a software manufacturer to a technology company. But of course, as everyone knows, this is just a constant evolution. But yes, we're able to provide end to end. If it's a custom award that after they've been nominated or recognized using the platform that an employer wants to present something really symbolic and meaningful to their employees, we're kind of the only place where you get that all in the same shop with the same level of quality service and research behind it. Really, our OC Tanner Institute is a globally recognized academic level research team that informs all of our product design and it informs the direction that we often consult our clients. We call it culture by design. So organizations will come to us. They obviously are people-minded organizations that want to make sure that they are on the cutting edge of offering an employee experience that is one of the most rewarding in the world. And so they'll partner with us. We get those that are typically the most serious about culture and want to approach it from a research perspective. And then also have the tools that they need to bring to life all that learning and put it in a really easy to use format for their people that they understand and enjoy interacting with. So it's so fun to interact with the world's largest companies, these great brands. Our design center makes sure that all the communication pieces and the platform is presented in a way that really complements that internal brand experience. And then just watching them really nurture fulfillment at work is just a joy every day. Just helping people thrive at work is our purpose. And to watch that happen, we created over 25 million recognition moments in the world last year. That's 202 every single minute. And so we talk about lives affected every day. And that's really what rallies our employees around the ripples that we're putting out into the world, whether it is through our software or through our consulting or through our research or through our awards.
Oh, well, I get teary-eyed just hearing that. 25,202 recognitions a day. That is
a minute.
A minute.
Yeah.
A
Yes.
minute. Oh my goodness, Mindi. Well, you know what? Here's what I love about all this. And you're helping companies do this, right? But, I was thinking about it, and you guys drink your own champagne. You drink your own champagne because of the culture inside of OC Tanner. 3 times you guys have been named to Fortune 100 best companies to work for. It's amazing. I think you've got maybe, I could have my numbers wrong here, but maybe 1,600 employees, 58 countries, 62 languages. But you guys, you are doing it. You are doing it. I read some stats on the Great Places to Work site. Mindi, wow. Here's what it says about OC Tanner. You got a score of 90%. 90% of the employees at OC Tanner say it is a great place to work. The average US-based company, the average is 57%.
We can do better. Can't we all do better?
You can do better.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, 100% of people should love to go to work. And you think about, we just talk about ripples. If you can get filled up at work, you've got more for your family, more for your community, we're uniquely positioned as workplaces to just fill people up and make sure that the world's a better place because of that. But I interrupted you, but
I know
we can do better.
Yes. I love it. I love it. This is the way this woman thinks. We can do better. But I'm looking at that going 57% is the average for US-based companies. And you guys are well above average. 96% said when you join the company, you're made to feel welcomed. 94% said, I feel good about the ways we're contributing in the community. And I know, we've just talked about that a little bit. You guys are very philanthropic and very involved in the community. 92% of our facilities contribute to a good working environment. And Mindi, I looked and you guys just did, and I can't remember the exact year, but you just did a revitalization of your HQ and a rework. It is gorgeous. In fact, you guys just won an award for that. Or the architect that, designed your building, the retrofit of your building, won an award. So, the facilities are contributing. 92% said I'm able to take off of work when it's necessary and when, family things arise. 92% said I'm proud to tell others that I work here.
Isn't that everything? That's everything.
It's everything. Absolutely. And word of mouth. Oh my goodness. No wonder you guys just attract such great, great people. But, I want to talk about this and the secret sauce of these awards. When you and I initially spoke, Mindy, I told you, I will never forget you telling me, well, Lisa, yes, DEI is important. Diversity, equity, inclusion, very important. You guys have your eyes on that. At OC Tanner, you're very intentional about it. But it's also belonging. Belonging is a new word. But then you added a different word in there, a new word, and it was fulfilled. And you told me personally, for you want people to come to work and you want it to be a haven for everyone. And when I think about a haven, I think of a safe place. I think of a comfortable place. I think of a, I don't know, just where I can be myself is what I think of when I think of a haven. But how are you guys doing this? I want to talk about your secret sauce. How are you doing this at OC Tanner, helping people feel fulfilled?
So fulfillment is the thing. And when we think about the shifts that have happened, when we had this pandemic that caused a pause, we all had to rearrange how we were working for safety reasons. And then we started thinking about other reasons to rearrange the way we were working: lifestyle, priorities, what did we really want, what mattered most, right? So it started out for one reason and it ended up being something else. And I think we're all still navigating, what does that mean for business? How do we create this agreement between life and work and the demands of both? And, we have been talking about whole life awareness and wellness and all of these things in the workplace before. And that was really a warm up to, are you ready? Because you're about to be revealed. Your culture is about to be revealed as how deeply you really believe these things. And I think that's the moment that we're in right now. But all of our research last year, we surveyed tens of thousands of people all over the world, 20 countries, 27,000 surveys on top of all of the focus groups that we do. And this word about fulfillment, I'm really looking to feel fulfilled, felt like this natural evolution from, we used to measure employee satisfaction, right? Are you satisfied? That seems like so basic and sad in the rearview mirror right now. And then we said, engagement. They can't just be satisfied. We want them to be engaged. We want hearts and minds. We want people really contributing. And I think the next phase of that is fulfillment. Can you provide a place where somebody feels better off because they are associated with the work they do and the purpose that they live in your organization? Can you provide them with a community where they feel like they belong, where they know that they're needed, right? That they're seen and that they're welcomed? Is that a community that you can create at work for everyone? And can you provide them opportunities to grow? Just like I was talking about how much growth was such a core part of my experience here. Can we do that for every person according to their own desires and need to feel competent, right, in what they do? Sometimes growing is within your role. I just want to feel like I do what I do really well. And I want to be the best at this thing. And that's fine. You don't have to move to 50 different positions to experience growth. And then this thing about balance, and this was so interesting that came out in our research, is that we've been talking about work-life balance and, all of these kind of concepts over the years. And what does that mean? And what's a work style that contributes best to that? But people weren't talking about work life anymore. They were just talking about balance. And I think that's just more honest. You can have boundaries and you certainly can set hours, but it's not always going to be hard and fast, right? Life is going to melt into the work day, if there's such a thing anymore. And the needs of the business are going to meld into evenings and early mornings and weekends. And that's just how it is. It's just how it is. So I think instead of fighting that, and certainly we need to create an appropriate amount of time for people to make sure that every area of their life is happy and that they are giving the appropriate attention there. But just acknowledging that and having resources for life at work and having resources for work in their lives, that just feels like the more honest exchange right now. And so that's something that we're just seeing come up over and over again. And then, this fourth key to employee fulfillment is really around purpose. Can you articulate the reason you exist and what you do every day as a company? You owe that to your people. We owe that. The reason that we are worth believing in, the reason that we are worth asking you to exchange your time and your energy for anything else in the world is this one purpose. And if you believe in that, you're in. And if we can help you understand it in a different way, or we can help develop skills that help you support that. But I think the secret sauce for us has been a really intentional hiring process toward purpose. And people who understand or feel lit up by helping others thrive, that's who we look for. And not everybody, it's okay. That's not everybody's thing. But we certainly, if that's your thing and you have whatever skills you bring, whether they're finance skills or software skills or manufacturing skills or housekeeping skills, but you love to help people thrive and be better, we want you. And so when you get all of that same energy that's connected to a shared purpose, man, that community is instant, the understanding is deep, and it helps guide all of our decision making to be more aligned to purposeful work. And that's really what I think is the secret to any culture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is so good. That is so good, Mindi. I could just talk to you for hours. We're not going to do that to our listeners, though. But I do have a couple of other questions for you, just kind of in that same vein. I love what you're saying. It's kind of like everything kind of blends together. I mean, it's not like a line of demarcation, so to speak. But I think about you, and you've got 3 boys. You've got a very big role at OC Tanner. I know you're very involved in community because I saw where you had chaired Go Red for Women. I chaired that. I think you just chaired it in 2022. Yeah. I think I chaired it maybe 4 or 5 years ago. That's a big role. I know you're very involved in community. How do you manage it for yourself? And how do you always talk about, we've got 168 hours a week. So we got to manage our time. But one thing that I talk a lot about, Mindi, is managing our energy. We have limited energy, and if we think that we're superwoman and we can do it all, we're lying to ourselves, and we're going to experience probably some burnout. But what advice would you give to women that are juggling so many different responsibilities in their life?
Sure. And, I think this is just as people. I mean, it definitely hits women differently and in different ways, but just as people, it is about managing our energy. And it's so funny that you bring up Go Red for Women. So I will share this because the 2 or 3 charities that I really like to get involved with align to my personal life. So my 3rd son was born with a congenital heart defect. And so we spent a lot of time in the hospital, 3 open heart surgeries. We worry about him all the time and, sought a lot of care. And so, of course, American Heart Association, right? My company supports them. I have a personal tie. That energy that I can give to that feels in spades, like it's in all my bubbles. It comes from all of my circles. When my son was experiencing his surgeries, we often had to travel for some of those surgeries just to be with the right surgeons. So we stayed at Ronald McDonald House Charities. That's another place where it's just like pay it back, pay it forward, get aligned. That's something that I've been able to involve my company in as well. And it's been very meaningful to employees here. So I think we all have these Venn diagrams of where our personal interests and our ability to give back and inviting our families and our units or our partners or the people that we love. I mean, that's really honestly, as we get to the end of it, your people that you love, your crew, into those activities, whether they are sponsored by work or they're part of your personal life, you're in a position to have those things overlap. And that's been something that's just been a joy to me, is to be able to just say, hey, this matters in this circle to me. And I know we do work over here. How about we just bring this together? And not in a selfish way, but we also have so many other, when you start to ask these questions and get curious about employees' personal lives, we have hundreds of employees that have a connection somehow to this charity. Fantastic. Let's do that. But for us to really be able to, I think, feel like we're firing on all cylinders, you have to create those synergies, right? You have to create that overlap. And that's a joy when it happens. And I'll tell you probably this is a silly story, but I finally, at one point in my career, I just needed some help at home. My littles were still really little. And so I hired a nanny that came in part-time. And I remember one time, and that's a luxury. Like, I realize that's a luxury and that a lot of people don't have. But I remember that she called me and she said, hey, we're out of milk. What do you want me to do? And I just bawled. It hit me like, you have failed as a mother, is how I heard those words come out of her mouth, right? And I'm like,
Oh,
I don't know. What do you think we should do? And she's like, oh my gosh, Mindy. She's like, well, should I just go buy some? Because I want you to know, like, if you want me to do that, I will do that. But
please.
even at the point where I was like, okay, I need some help for supervision. I wasn't willing to let go of like everything else that felt like my job. And
Mm-hmm.
guess what? The higher you rise, the more you have to let go of. And so if it is your intention to continue to elevate, you have to decide what is something only you can do. Where
Mm-hmm.
is a spot where only I add value, right? That is bedtime for me. That is showing up to the concerts and the things that are the really core memories for me and my family. That's something only I can do. I would never delegate that. But grocery shopping or
Yes.
all of this other
Except the
stuff.
cleaning. Yeah. That is such sage advice. That really is, Minnie, because I've always said there's non-negotiables. Like I never hired someone to go shop for a prom dress for my girls. I
Exactly.
wanted to be the one to do that, right? But yeah, I think that is really sage advice. I mean, and that goes to your personal life and that goes to your business. We're always like, what is it that only I can do? And I need to try and delegate the rest. And then, it trickles down from there. So
Well,
it's,
the meetings, even if we're just talking about work alone, the meetings will eat you alive. And
yes.
guess what? You have people on your team that want to lead that meeting. So let them, and then have a report out or then have a touch base, or I will guarantee you will see a different light up in somebody's eyes and it will not feel like drudgery to them. Hey, can you cover this meeting for me? And it's like, it's trust is communicated, opportunity is communicated. It's so letting that go can be a gift to everybody around you.
Oh, that's such wonderful advice. Well, Mindy, I have to ask you, this is the common thread through every Something Extra episode. And I have to ask you, what do you believe is the something extra that every leader needs?
It's so hard to just pick one thing. So let me just
You
say
can pick
that. But
two if you want.
my leader told me several years ago something that kind of directs me. And so I thought I would share this with you today is to remember what team you're on. And so I think specifically in a people leadership role or in HR leadership role, we feel so pulled by the different interests, right? The role conflict sometimes comes into play. Who am I representing? And if there is something that's not congruent, how do I resolve that? But my CEO told me, Mindy, you're on the executive team first. Like this is your team. And so we don't work side by side 24/7, but this is your team. You lead a team and you're on a team. And so the decisions you make when you're in your team need to be in the long-term best interest of the company because that's the team that you're on. And so it sounds just a little
Mm.
bit, but it is such a prioritization mindset for me. It doesn't distance me from my department teams at all, but it does influence the value add activities that I direct us toward. And I think it's made my teams more strategic, to be quite honest, because they were acting in the best interest of the company as a whole and not just in what's most immediate or advantageous to our team.
That is really good. That's really good. And I haven't had over 200 episodes and no one has really said that. So that's very unique, but it's so true. I love that. Well, Mindy, this has been so much fun. Is there something you're really excited about right now that you want to tell our listeners about? Is there anything coming up that they could get involved in or, I'm sure they can find you on LinkedIn.
I will tell you, we are in growth mode at 100-year-old organization that has just had 2 years of huge growth. The reason that has me excited is because businesses are getting it. They understand that thriving at work requires intention. And so for them to be coming to us or coming to whomever else in this space has me elated because I think we've talked or done a lot of lip service for decades of people first and, people are our most important asset. And like that sentence is a total oxymoron. Like you just said people and asset in the same sentence. But I don't know, not for the first time, but I think there is some momentum to organizations really believing that if we don't get human beings right at work, we will not exist. And guess what? They're right.
It's true.
So watching organizations catch that vision and then being able to partner with them and just experience the growth and the more purpose that we're able to put in the world, That's huge. It just, I hope you can feel it just lights me up in all kinds of ways just to see, yes, this is going to make a difference in the lives of the employees of these organizations. And it's just I hope it just puts more positivity into the world, because we can call it employee appreciation, but it really is love at work. And it is, I see you and you matter, and I appreciate who you are and what you bring.
Yeah. Oh, so beautiful. Well, and I completely concur with you. And, really, truly is a way, love, I think, is the overarching thing for me. It's like loving people. And so, the next question is, how do you do this? And this is a very actionable, very concrete way to express that. So I love what you're doing, Mindi, and I hope more companies will reach out to you and learn how they can get a part, be a part of that. But thank you so much for being on the show today. It was so much fun spending this time with you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to today's show. Something Extra with Lisa Nichols is a Technology Partners production. Copyright Technology Partners, Inc. 2019. For show notes or to reach Lisa, visit tpi.co/podcast. Don't forget to leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, or wherever you listen.